This image sort of oh, am I cut off? God damn it. Let me try this again. It works on a couple different levels because it's the comedy that's obviously comedy, and then it comes with a warning from the puppet masters. So Norm Macdonald and the need to speak truth to power, the need for comedy that tells the mainstream media establishment to suck a bag of D. Norm is gone. There will never be another like him. The comedy and political environment that would even allow someone like him to survive, that's gone forever. The small comedy clubs that grew these comedians and made it possible for the best of the best to get selected onto Saturday Night Lives or all those other types of shows. Canada's got their own thing. A young Norm in 2021 doing stand-up in a little Canadian comedy club where they all have maple syrup at every table. Some Karen Schwartz or Shaniqua will secretly record him with her cell phone saying that he would bet on the biggest, blackest boxer to win, if you remember that joke. It would go around Twitter. There's a lot of jokes he makes that catch people not quite the wrong way, but it catches their attention, and it they don't know, they have to think about it if they know to be offended or not, because they don't think they should be, but they know they're not quite getting it. It takes a second to settle in. So something like that, a video clip like that, and all those comedians with their tricksy video clips, how well did that work out for the Asian guy who took a clip of the comedian guy who brought him up? Didn't work out too well for him. It would go around Twitter and BuzzFeed, Slate, Salon, all those types of other piss dossier fake news sites. They would blow it up because, they need eyeballs. They need sell advertising dollar. The young Norm Macdonald would be crucified before he even got started, all because a harpy didn't get the multi-layered joke that is the biggest, blackest boxer. Why the joke is funny? Because it's not funny, it's tragic. That is why it's funny. That's the deeper comedy. The surface level is it just sounds unpolitically correct. It feels funny even if you don't quite understand why, because it takes a minute to understand why. It's a sad funny, it's not a happy funny. Because boxing is barbaric. It's a sport that takes poor people and sends them like Christians to the lions to be destroyed, torn apart to the cheering, civilized audience. The joke is pointing out this insane, brutal system that makes it possible for the wealthy to treat people like savage animals. But the savages are the audience, and mostly those who run the boxing business, because the audience doesn't really have any idea what's going on. It's funny because you have this wealthy industry of boxing and the networks who have traditionally taken poor boys and made them retarded with head trauma while making the industry billions of dollars and entertain fans who, to be fair, probably have no idea of the effects of head trauma. It wasn't until I think the late 90s when people started to clue into the NFL and football head trauma and concussions and long-term head trauma. It's like, yeah, the long-term health for NFL players is not that great. It's like, it's something that just gets completely dismissed by the media because media all has their own sports networks, and they're not going to get rid of boxing and football. So it just gets never discussed, and it makes you look at the media. It's like, whoa, these are evil people, like deeply, deeply evil people. The joke is funny and enraging because it's a brutal, unchecked exploitation of men. This isn't soccer or baseball where you can play for decades without ever suffering head trauma. Boxing is different. It's deeply sick. Boxing used to be Irish and Italian, now it's black and Spanish. It's telling a group of men your only value is to be fed to the lions. The joke is the whole system. The whole system is the joke. What kind of shithole country would allow this level of brutality? A peak Weimar commercial zone nation. The tragedy joke works because it points out this exploitive industry in what looks like a nice civilized sporting arena in a nice civilized nation. You see this beautiful city with this high-tech arena. Obviously a lot of money went into it, well-dressed announcers, expensive cameras and boom microphones. There's huge production values that goes into this stuff. Millions of dollars goes into watching two black men cause each other as much head trauma as possible. It's like this evil that hides in open view, like a bunch of smiling, talented clowns at a circus, but at every show, one of the clowns takes a child from the audience, puts it on the sacrificial altar to Moloch, and cuts its throat, and the clowns all drink the blood. Well, that's just part of the show. We always do it this way. The biggest, blackest boxer joke works because the boxing industry is run by biblically evil people who actually are sacrificing men to Lucifer or Lucre? How do you pronounce that? You know the word I'm looking for. Like, wash off the brainwashing for a second. Look at it. What do you see? Two black or Mexican men trying to destroy each other while the crowd cheers them on. It's not a race issue so much, it's more of a class issue, because even when it was all Englishmen, it was poor men fighting. Even beyond race or class, it's people watching men try to hurt each other. It's like this sick, deep undercurrent that's kind of concealed by the exploitive nature of this particular capitalist system. It's this exploitive nature of a billion-dollar industry built on head trauma, like Flowers for Algernon, but as a spectator sport. You get these two guys killing each other and thousands of filthy parasites sucking off as much money as possible. It's Upton Sinclair's exploitive capitalism at its worst. It's what you get when nations don't have a core dogma, like what most modern Western nations have been turned into, commercial zones ruled by bankers. The dogma is, make the ultra-wealthy more money. That's the only thing that matters. Here's your boxing and pornography, your Prozac, your Oxy, your Xanax. Be nothing more than debt slave cattle. Never look at the man behind the curtain. A real nation of one people wouldn't have things like boxing or porn because they're bad things that hurt the tribe. But here's why it's possible in a commercial zone mixed tribe state. Because you as one tribe can pit a different tribe against a third tribe so you can exploit them both and cause them to hate each other so much that they never notice that you are the one pulling the strings. It's obviously my axe to grind is globalism versus nationalism. No, diversity was never our strength. The goal all along was to destroy us by turning high trust states into low trust states. It's not that people shouldn't engage in high risk sport if they choose or even make porn. It's the exploitive nature of one tribe using a low-trust nation to essentially feed the Christians to lions and profit. That's just one possible interpretation of the joke. I have no idea what Norm really intended. Look at those two animals up on stage. What a bunch of savages. The joke works because you have ghettos as this source material for blood sports. But then you start pulling the string on this joke and you scratch your head and you go, hey, wait a minute, why do we have ghettos in the first place? Isn't America this wealthy first world nation? And you look at these inner cities and like, something's not adding up here. Something doesn't make sense. Why does America have a permanent underclass? The juxtaposition between billion-dollar Las Vegas and the ghetto as a source material. Why do we have ghettos? Why do we have this permanent welfare state of single moms creating single moms? To answer that, you need to look at a certain act in 1965 that brought in millions of low-skilled workers to take the jobs of the black father, and the creation of the welfare state to permanently fund single moms who got financially punished if they get married. It's like they did this all on purpose. They did. If you pay for something, you'll get more of it. They paid single moms to be single moms and replaced the black man with a new, I gotta be careful here, replacement, a new low-skill worker. The goal was to destabilize and ultimately destroy America, which they have done, but most people are too distracted by the topical shiny object du jour to see it. Right now, the puppet masters who control the media have us fighting over something I can't even mention on YouTube. The things you put in front of your face and experimental substances. That's what we're fighting over now. Like, if you ever start to think, oh, they're throwing a shiny object at us, then yes, they're throwing a shiny object at us. They're distracting us on purpose. Anyway, 1 in a million, Norm MacDonald. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.